Hello and welcome to the Concord tutorial showcase of the JamZone example project. As you have heard, when we enter one of these colored squares, a new pattern is generated, and each time we enter a new square we get a new melody and a new beat and new chords, and thus we can get infinite variations, because every time we replay the level, the patterns are generated anew. Concord is an Unreal Engine plugin that makes projects like this one possible and fairly simple to set up, with a new graph editor for symbolic music modeling. But before we look into that, let's take a quick look into the blueprint actor that actually controls all of the generation and visuals. This is a fairly simple setup where we set some visibilities of our decals and the highlighting cube. And then we call a function to update the pattern that generates a new pattern for our audio component to play back. The audio component has a meta sound loaded in, which is quite large and takes care of all of the synthesis of the drums and the synth sounds of the audio. And the musical pattern data is actually generated using a Concord model, which here is loaded as a Concord model component on our actor. Inside the Concord model, we have a couple of inputs, and these inputs get some pattern data, which is then affected by a couple of individual models that take care of bass, drums, chords, leads, and arpeggios, and come up with variations of the inputs. The idea being that for each color of the different squares, we have a source material that is then kind of remixed by these models. The model is set up such that it finds the chord progression first, based on the bass, the chords, the arps, and the leads, and it'll then come up with a key, a chord progression, and the scale degrees for the lead that we can then remix using a lead model, which we can take a quick peek inside. Here the idea is that we have the possibility to flip some rhythmic flags, so note offs and note ons can be changed by this. And also we're switching up the scale degrees a little by looking into some predefined interval changes that we can apply. The random behavior is achieved with random variables that live inside boxes inside these models. For example, the flip degree box contains 32 different variables that can each take one of 4 possible states. And they are affected by a factor that changes the probability distribution of these random variables based on a computed score. If this has piqued your interest, feel free to check out the other tutorials on this channel and also take a look at Concord, the Unreal Engine plugin on the Epic Marketplace, as well as on GitHub. Have a good one of whatever you're having.